It's Saturday, the 11th of February, 2012. Well, I finally got to return the book to my one of my friends that I've been talking about, Signature in the Cell. And I just was totally honest with him. I just said, I don't want to take the magic and the awe and wonder out of life for you by giving you a different perspective than your own, by having a different perspective of your own that seems, I don't want to threaten. I told him I didn't want to threaten him, and at the same time I think it's absolutely ridiculous that I think that I could threaten him with all the life experience he has. He's my elder, and before I told him that, I said, listen, I already know I'm invested in you because of what you've told me you have done. And someone that has succeeded in society and in social endeavors, to me, has a high worth and value. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to change my ideas because somebody has a high worth and value to me. I still have my own ideas. And that's what I was driving home to him. That was the underlying message that, listen, buddy, you can have a high worth and value to me, but it doesn't mean I'm going to change my perspective, which I know he understood completely. But it took our relationship on an entirely different level because in a very gentle and respectful way, I went toe to toe with him. But not for the typical experience of an argument. And I reminded him again of the creation myth of the source being one. And then in order to discover itself, it split itself off into everything that it can relate to itself. And then time and space was created for it to relate to its different aspects. Because when everything is one, it can't have relationship. When everything is unified, there's no relationship. It's all one unity. Anyway, he's a good read of a person. This is how he's gotten through the world. He can read somebody. And we had another part of our conversation. He was trying to tell me a story. And, I'm a pretty good student. I can read people pretty well. But I realized that with him, what I told him in the moment, I said, wait a second here, I'm getting lost in your conversation. I'm not following your conversation. And the reason why I wasn't following his conversation is because he didn't want me to. He wanted to indoctrinate me. There's another level of experience I'm not sure. Well, people don't pull that on other people unless they expect it to work. And so he was stereotyping me to expect this type of rhetoric to work. I think on a lot of levels, I'm somebody that he's met before. He's met so many people. He's probably gone over every kind of argument that could be argued. But on another level, I don't come from where he came from. So the way I present it is unique. And I ended up telling him at the end of our conversation, because he had to go. Oh, it's time for me to go. And it may very well have been time for him to go, but he makes his leave at the most opportune time so as the conversation cannot lead to the next step. And I don't know if he's knowingly doing this or unknowingly doing this, but the unconscious can protect itself, can protect the individual. So we can have these intuitions, oh, I've got to go. It's time to go. And think, yeah, it's time to go, but actually I'm not going to let this conversation go any farther because I'm concerned about what's going to surface. And then I'd have to integrate it, deal with it, But as we were leaving, I told him, from this source level, if everything is an aspect of itself, both the dark and the light aspects are aspects of itself, then there really is no evil. And he, cringed at the thought. This is a public servant who has spent his whole life confronting dark aspects. And I didn't want to leave it at that point, but he chose to leave it at that point because he had somewhere to go. He had something to do. And the reason why I didn't want to leave it at that point is that the value of what is good is in relationship to what is bad. And they are both affirming each other. Both the dark and the light aspects affirm each other. So the dark aspects affirm the light, and the light aspects affirm the dark. And it really is a matter of what side you choose to be on. But in the process of trying to make something better than it is, we can really do some great damage. But in this morning, when I was just doing my morning act of imagination, it came to the forefront of my thought again, because I've thought of this before, that I told a friend years ago, I'm sick and tired of a tragic romance. I don't want to write a tragic romance of my life anymore. I think it's more within my means to write a romantic comedy. That's something real enough for me, where I can laugh at myself and laugh at what I do, because every single bit of it was for the intent of love. They say, to love and be loved in return is one of the great needs of a human being. And I related this. I thought of my talk with this elder yesterday, my friend. And I thought how, it might be a fruitful line of thought to bring up. Because, this guy has so many defenses to protect his own established belief structure. His established belief structure is based on defenses. He's defending all of his arguments all the time. And I like that saying, only the guilty feel the need to defend themselves. And in this situation, what would the guilt be related to? And it may be that there is an outmoded form of believing in things. And it's not that I don't want him to believe in things anymore. It's that we're coming into consciousness and awareness, knowledge of aspects of life that cannot be integrated into the old belief structures very easily. It takes a lot of work, and sometimes trying to integrate it into the established belief structures, we change the facts as they are, the knowledge that we have, into a fantastic rendition of the facts as they are, so that they fit our belief structure. And he's done a lot of work. He said, your methodology is wrong, he told me at one point. And for me, I understand the methodology is wrong. I understand that statement. And I can even agree with that statement. But the point is not that I have to be right or wrong, but that life is a mystery, and we're figuring it out as we go along, and I'm not hurting anybody. And the goal that I have has to be integral with the fact that there is a limited amount of resources, and there are those that have them and those that don't. And how we go about getting those resources is very crucial. I told him, I said, it's not so much what you got as what you do with it. It's not so much what you do as how you do it. So, all these things are leading up. He seems rather fragmented. And the reason why he seems rather fragmented is that he relies on this established belief structure that seems to me may be very defensive and fragmentary. You know, only certain bits of information are allowed to be integrated because only certain things can come in line with the established belief structure.